Hey everyone, Mint here with a very different video, as you can probably tell. Today I decided I wanted to do something that would allow me to deviate a bit from my normal personal attention type roleplay videos, and instead I decided to do something that allowed me to focus more on a traditional ASMR style with the gentle speaking / whispering. And I thought, what better way to test the waters than to do a bit of a Q&A. So earlier this week, I asked you guys to submit whatever questions you wanted me to answer, and you guys really came through. I think in total there was approximately 80 different questions thereabouts across 40 different comments on YouTube plus Twitter. So anywho, I do have a bit of a bad habit of rambling, so let me just jump right into it. And hopefully this will be a relaxing experience as I answer your most pressing questions. Kicking things off, we have a few questions from Vic Straw, who starts by asking, how old are you? I actually am 23. I turned 23 back in January. What is my height? I am 5'7", which I believe translates to little over 170 centimeters, thereabouts, I think. Am I in a relationship? No, I am currently single. And what do I look for in a partner? Honestly, I think if the chemistry is right with a person and if we communicate honestly and openly, then that's kind of really the most important thing. I tend to see relationships as like a best friend plus, if that makes sense. And I mean, personally, I would hope that my partner would be my best friend in a way. So yeah, I think that's kind of what I tend to focus on more than anything else. And are any of your videos inspired by actual experiences you've had? Yes, actually. More often than not, I tend to intersplice something a little like this applies to me in real life, or this is a lesson I've learned. But generally speaking, in terms of like a tit for tat kind of like this actually happened to me in real life, the closest thing I would say is probably the Tsundere series, which I think I wrote in the description of those videos a bit of an explanation on where my life kind of lined up with that. But yeah, so that probably, I would say that series is the closest to something I've had in real life. Our next question comes from ASMR Addict, who asks, do you have or have you thought of a name for your subscribers? Honestly, I don't have anything official. I don't really vibe with the whole like kind of cheesy like, oh, my little saplings or my peppermint patties or something like that. I don't know, I feel like that kind of makes almost like a hierarchy, if you will, and I kind of just see everyone as like friends. But when I do refer to my subscribers, I jokingly will like intentionally misspell and mispronounce the word. I have a bit of a habit of doing that just for fun. And so I think I called them, what did I say for my 1,000 subs video? I think it was Spubscribbies was how I said that. And to be honest, I feel like that's completely on brand. It's equal parts innocent, cutesy, and dumb as shit. So yeah, I think unofficially you're my Spubscribbies and officially you are my friends. But if anyone does have any ideas, definitely let me know. Next up, some random artist's illusion asks what my favorite song, show, food, and movies are, and what I am interested in. So my favorite song is a country song called Burning House by Cam. It's a really pretty song that helped me through a bit of a troubling time. My favorite show, I don't tend to watch a lot of TV, but I'm really impressed by the intelligent writing in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Even though it's a comedy, it doesn't really resort to dumb humor, and the show has a really nice structure to it. Favorite food, this might sound a bit boring, but honestly, chicken Caesar salad. It's what I have literally anytime I go to a restaurant. It's healthy, it tends to be cheap, and I don't know, it just kind of makes me feel happy. And it's something I can have, like, even if my stomach is a bit full, I guess. Favorite movie, it's a tie between Sister Act and a documentary called Jiro Dreams of Sushi. And what am I interested in? Honestly, pretty much anything as long as friends are involved. Though I will say my big personal ones are I like to dabble in digital art, and I enjoy looking at it online. I love gaming, of course, that's a big one for me. I also like to study language, and of course, script writing and making videos has kind of been a perpetual theme throughout my life. The next question actually comes from two people, Brandon Fung and Spirited Sprite, who both want to know what got me into ASMR. So to keep a long story short and to keep the details discreet, I was living with my ex for the last year of university, absolutely miserable time. And in order to help kind of process things and to feel less alone, I started listening to a lot of one-on-one ASMR roleplays type stuff, kind of like what I do now. But I noticed there wasn't a whole lot specifically designated for men, and there also wasn't a lot made by men for men. And so I figured rather than wait for someone else to do it, I'll throw my own hat in the ring and make that content. Additionally, there's not really a lot of stuff for LGBT people, and there's not a lot, well, I don't want to say there's not a lot for like comfort through difficult situations, because there definitely is, but I felt like there needed to be another approach, because some things worked and some things didn't, and so I wanted to help make that content as well. So yeah, that's kind of what got me into it. A friend of mine, Boba, who I affectionately refer to as Booba, asks, what keeps me motivated every day? This is going to sound like a bit of a weird answer, but honestly, just a little bit like a healthy amount of pressure, I find, kind of keeps me going. I find for myself, if I just don't have a reason to do something, I will put it off and procrastinate and just not do it. But if I kind of have to like put my nose to the grindstone and get it done, for whatever reason, then not only do I get it done, but I find I also become more passionate about it and kind of get a bit of a fire in my belly, if you will. And I tend to get the best products that way, which is ironic because teachers always be like, don't do this assignment at the last minute. And I would be like, watch me. And that would always get kind of the best results. So yeah, I would just say a healthy amount of pressure, but not to the point where you burn out or overstress yourself. That's definitely not good. Over on Twitter now, Salem Audio, who you should absolutely subscribe to and check out if you haven't already, asks, when you're recording, do you usually script heavily or do you use a lot of improv with your material? Honestly, I have to script pretty heavily. I find for myself, I'm prone to stuttering and, as mentioned before, kind of blathering on, and I will repeat myself a lot and kind of lose a train of focus and kind of forget what I was going to say. I will like throw in a little improvised line if I think of something that, like, as I'm recording, oh, this will really work. But no, I kind of need a script to just help keep myself in line and to have a really clean, cohesive story. But like, major kudos to people who do improv with their stuff, because I mean, damn, I can't. All right, moving on. Trend Life asks, what is your sexuality? And by the way, love you. First of all, know you. I don't know why I said that. Anyway, see, this is why I need a script. Otherwise, I distract myself. What is your sexuality? It's funny. I don't think I've ever actually like publicly said anything on YouTube. I mean, I have in like comments or live streams, like when I was featured on Kai Says Things live streams, or like on other media like Twitter and Discord, but I've never actually said anything here. So to make it official, I am an openly gay man. Additionally, I do identify as demisexual, which, for those that don't know, it's along the asexual spectrum, where you don't feel necessarily physical attraction for a person until you really get to know them emotionally and deeply. So like, someone might be crazy hot and I would be like, oh yeah, I appreciate the aesthetic, but if they were like, want to hook up, I would be like, gotta pass, because I just can't get into it, even if I'm dating, hypothetically speaking, because I haven't had that experience yet. I would have to wait a bit before I would be willing to get a bit freaky, if you will. God damn it. Why do you say that? Okay, whatever. Let's just pretend I didn't say that and go on to the next question. Angel Arriaga wants to know, do we live in a simulation?
You know too much. Prepare for destruction.
The next pair of questions I actually felt would be most appropriate to answer together. So Parker Dude wants to know, what's your goal? Do you plan on making this your career or just a hobby? Meanwhile, Damian Williams asks, what is your dream job? So truth be told, as mentioned before, I am a 23-year-old. I still consider myself to be a kid in some regards. Relatively freshly out of university. I graduated about a year ago from a biology degree. And to be honest, it was not fun. I don't really like biology. I want to do something in arts, whether it be, visual arts, performative arts, writing, language, whatever. But that being said, I don't really have any sort of professional training because obviously I was in for biology. But YouTube kind of lets me dip a toe in that water without needing to make any real big commitments. And it's a fun way of doing it too. And so, when I think of a dream job, my priorities are I want something that'll let me create and put art and entertainment into the world. Something that doesn't necessarily make me wealthy, but allows me to live comfortably where I don't have to be terrified when the bills come in. But most importantly, I want something that doesn't drain me and that gives me time to spend with family and friends and, depending on the situation, dating or my boyfriend or my husband, whatever that case may be. And I kind of look at this voice acting thing as kind of maybe a way of doing that. If nothing comes from this and it is just a hobby, then that's fine too. If this is something that maybe it's not YouTube that's my income or Patreon or whatever I do, but maybe if, I find a casting call and get into voice acting, then that would also be cool. But otherwise, I can't say what the goal is, but I will take whatever comes. So that I think is the best way I can kind of summarize that. Speaking of YouTube, I apologize if I say your name wrong. Tontu Lassie wants to know, how does it feel to see your channel growing, and are you surprised by the support you're getting? Also, thank you. Well, realistically, I should be the one thanking you because, this whole thing is because of you guys, and, being able to make so many friends and get to know so many people has been, crazy in the most positive way. With regards to the channel, honestly, it is a bit of a shock. Because I expected it to be one of those small channels that gets buried under the YouTube algorithm. And, knowing I've have a bit of a positive community going, not just for myself, but for other people, it's really uplifting because, the internet can be really toxic and stuff. And it's sad to say that it's shocking that this whole thing has been a really positive experience. But yeah, no, I think it's great, and I'll be more than happy to see kind of what else comes down the road and who else I'm going to meet, Switching topics now, Burnt Toast wants to know, do you have any pets or have you had any? I don't have any pets currently. That being said, on the screen right now, I will put a photo of my family's old dog. We had gotten her when she was about 1 year old, and we had her up until she was around, I want to say 18 or 19, something to that effect, which was well beyond her life expectancy. Yeah, we had her for a good while. Very loyal dog. Definitely miss her lots. Something Randoms now asks, would you actually adopt me? Bold of you to assume you would want me as a father. I'm sure you're wonderful. The next set of questions comes from, oh dear, I apologize if I say your name wrong again, Asiel Choi, if I'm saying that right, or Asiel Choi. Again, terribly sorry. What kind of equipment do you use to make videos? So in terms of the physical, I use a Blue Snowball microphone. Honestly, I should have sprung for the Blue Yeti. I just didn't want to make that much of a financial investment at the time, not knowing if I was gonna really stick with this whole YouTube thing, but in hindsight, I should have sprung for the Yeti. I do have a pop filter on it that I think is called the Dead Cat. I don't know what it's called. I got it for Christmas. It's just a fuzzy thing you put over your microphone. In terms of software, I use Audacity, which is free to do all of my recording. And then for my editing, I use Filmora Pro, which honestly was a bit more than I needed, because I actually do most of my editing, like of the audio part, in Audacity itself, because it's so much easier to manage. But yeah, so Filmora Pro, and for art, I use Fire Alpaca, but I'll probably be switching over to Medibang Pro. And they also want to know, are you a cat person or a dog person? Honestly, I like both, but if I had to choose one, probably dog, just because cats can be a little random and volatile. Like, you'll be cuddling with a cat and everything will be all like sweet and whatever, and then the cat will just randomly be like, yeah, I'm feeling kind of done with this, and then just claw your face off, which I would honestly get a cat too, but probably dogs would get the slight edge for that reason alone. Alexander B asks, are you into more masculine guys or feminine ones? Oh boy, okay. So this one's actually really hard to answer because, as mentioned before, I tend to prioritize the sort of dynamic I have with that person, and if there is that communication and that kind of energy where a romantic relationship can be sustainable, then it doesn't really matter. And I can kind of adapt to situations. Like, I consider myself to be a bit of a chameleon in that regard, where I'm kind of good with whatever. And honestly, both masculine guys and feminine ones have their appeal. Frankly, I think all guys are cute, so really it's just going to be whichever fucking one wants to date me. Oh god, I need help. Let's just smoothly transition over to Twitter, where my friend Kai Says Things, who's also a really good YouTuber you should check out, asks me, what is it like to be a VA YouTuber as a fetus? Oh, you cheeky little shit. Well, it's probably akin to however it feels when you go literally anywhere. Mr. 5'2". Yeah, that's right. I'm not even adding the half today. We're rounding down. What are you gonna do about it? Mr. Small Boy, Mr. Small Baby Bean, get angry. Sorry, I need to move on before I'm getting loud. Okay. Let's see here. Next question. Here we go. Angel Arriaga, who was not actually terminated and replaced with a cyborg at the start of this video, revisits us again and asks, alongside Ember Love, what has been your favorite or most enjoyable video to make so far? That's a good question. A lot of them have been really fun, but to give a bit of an odd answer, my favorite is actually the boyfriends holding hand for the first time video. And the reason why I chose that one as my favorite is because it felt so genuine to me, I guess is the best way of putting it. It's like everything that happened there was stuff that I kind of wish happened. Like, it felt very real to me. It almost felt like I was just kind of living out a daydream, and that was like the story. Just something very sweet and relatable and genuine, and yeah, that would probably be my favorite. And it was kind of like a happy place sort of video for me. Ember Love also asks, how long do videos normally take to make and edit? Very good question, because this is something that I was hoping someone would ask, because a lot of people think that these types of videos take a lot less work than they do. It normally, it depends on how long the video is, first of all. But for a 10-minute long video, it's about an 8-hour workday. It takes approximately 2 hours long to write the script, which is normally about 2.5 pages. And of course, I don't do this all in like one day. I kind of pace it out throughout a week or a weekend. So yeah, 2 hours to write the 2.5 page script. Then with the recording part, plus any redos, reshoots, and the editing as I go, because as mentioned before, it's easier to edit the audio in Audacity, where you have so many more options. That takes about probably 4 hours and sometimes more if there's a lot of like reshooting that needs to be done. And then editing it all and processing it in Filmora, along with just making last minute adjustments to my thumbnail art and whatnot. That's probably the last 2 hours. So yeah, about a full 8-hour workday, which is exactly why people who say YouTube is not a real job are full of shit. Another buddy of mine, Brittany Otaku Girl ASMR, wants to know, what is your favorite spirit animal? Oh man, I will often jokingly be like, oh, this is totally my spirit animal, or this is my spirit animal. Probably, though, the most relatable one would have to be some sort of bird, like a cockatiel or a cockatoo or a crow or something. Because, like, if I'm not derping, I'm dancing. If I'm not dancing, I'm screaming. If I'm not screaming, I'm picking at food. And if I'm not picking at food, I'm
Unleashing hell on my surroundings.
Our next question comes from, oh, this is another name I might mess up. Is that Zen or Jen the rat? Rat Kiddo, who asks, what inspires you? Honestly, I get a lot of inspiration from looking at artists on Twitter. I'm a real soppy person for like some soft boy romance stuff. And yeah, just seeing like really sweet things sometimes makes me want to like tell stories. Or I'll see like, because a lot of people will crap on like fanfics for some reason, but honestly, I love getting into like alternate universe stuff where you can kind of sculpt your own stories with the sort of prerequisites from the original story. And I don't know, I find that a lot of fun. So I would say that probably inspires me the most. Speaking of Twitter, Fandom Psycho wants to know, what favorite character... Wow, I botched that completely. Let me try that again. Favorite character of yours to voice and why? So, okay, I have a really hard time sustaining anything that's not like my natural voice, kind of like this now. But honestly, I love my little werewolf boy. He's such a shy little dork. And I love just the whole like social awkwardness of him. I'm definitely making more of him in the future, don't worry. Yeah, he's probably my favorite. Fandom Psycho, along with Koya, want to know also, what is my favorite anime? And I'm assuming by anime slash movie slash series, you mean like anime movies and series. So my favorite anime, well, okay. I don't tend to watch a lot of anime, but I really do want to watch My Hero Academia and Agretsuko, because I did enjoy the little bit that I did see of those shows. The only anime I've watched from start to completion was Oran High School Host Club, which had a really strong start and a pretty good ending. But once they got into all of like the backstory stuff later in the season, I just kind of got bored and conked out. So I wouldn't really call that my favorite anime. But yeah, let me watch those other ones once I actually sit my ass down and do that, and I will get back to you on that. Another one of my friends and moderators, Angel, asks, what is your favorite type of music to listen to and why? Do you have a certain artist that you enjoy listening to? Oh man, that is a huge can of worms to open. So I actually used to be a singer when I was younger. So once my voice started to change, I couldn't really keep up with it because it was kind of in an awkward range where songs were always too high or too low. But I always had a really big respect for like powerhouse type singers. My favorite singers of all time would have to be Carrie Underwood and Kelly Clarkson. I also tend to like songs that have like that really get my energy going, and kind of like put a little pep in me, for lack of a better way of putting it. So that would be like, you know, your typical pop song, K-pop, J-pop, certain like video game instrumental musics. Also, I like songs that kind of have like dramatic emotion to them, which can be kind of like those powerhouse songs, but even things like instrumentals or Ori and the Blind Forest, music like that, something very solemn but very elegant, and something that like gets your emotions going. And then the final like type of music I really like, and this is going to sound kind of weird, specifically female country artists. I don't know why, but I started binging on them when I was going through a really rough time, and a lot of the songs from those particular artists really clicked with me or really like related to my situation. And so, like, singers like Miranda Lambert, Kelsey Ballerini, Casey Musgraves, Cam, as mentioned before, Carrie Underwood, as mentioned before, like, all those singers are so, like, I love them. So yeah, that's probably like a general overview of the music I listen to, but of course it's much more diverse than that. Another Angel Geek, asks, I ask literally every YouTuber I watch this, what's your favorite ice cream flavor? Do you have a sweet tooth and cake, which I'm assuming is favorite cake flavor? So yes, I have a very huge sweet tooth, especially for anything like gummy or like hard candy. Favorite ice cream flavor, I like the really simple stuff, but like where there might be like kind of two different flavors mixed in. Like, for example, mint chocolate chip is probably my favorite, or something like I think it's called like tiger ice cream or something like that. I don't know. It's like yellow with like a certain swirl in it, or orange with a swirl in it, of something. I don't know what it is, but it's tasty. Favorite cake, oh man. I like red velvet cake with cream cheese icing. I made for my birthday last year a lemon cake with like fresh lemon juice and lemon zest, and that was really good and floofy, and I like that. I love carrot cake as well. Man, I'm getting hungry, and I just ate, which is not really ideal. Moving on. Yet another angel, Angelic Sick, asks, what was the first video game you ever played? The first video game, okay, so it's a bit foggy and I'm not 100% sure which one would have been my first, but I remember my dad asked, hey, do you want to play video games? And we rented a PS2 along with just a stack of various games. I remember some of them in the collection, but I don't remember which one would have been the first one I would have picked up and played. It either would have been Pac-Man Fever, which is like an old Mario Party-esque game, or it would have been Scooby-Doo Night of 100 Frights, which is an adventure game that actually is a little bit creepy and has its disturbing moments. I still have yet to get 100% on it, and I will probably do that in the near future. CM Muse asks, do you like to do writing outside of scripts and stuff related to the channel? I have dabbled in a few one-off projects here and there, but I've never actually like really done anything full on, but I would really like to. So I actually have a question for you guys. What would be some like good websites I could use to get connected with other writers and read other people's work, and also like write and publish my own? When I say publish, I don't mean anything like professional. I just mean for fun. Because I know some people do like one-off blogs, but I'd like something where maybe there's a bit more of a community. In terms of what I'd write, I mean, I'm not above doing like fanfics and AUs and stuff, but I would also like to even try to do like full-on like a story from scratch sort of thing. So yeah, let me know if you have any ideas for that in the comments below, because I would love to do that. And if you would like me to do readings of that stuff, if I should do that, yeah, that would be much appreciated. It's Elliot asks 2 questions, but I have to start with the second one first because it's just too funny. Could you do your best impression of a British accent? So first of all, I would have to say from where, because I know they vary from like region to region. Funny enough, so a while back I had studied up on how one would properly do a British accent, because there was originally a character that I was going to do thinking they had a British accent, but it was actually Australian. So I did all this studying for nothing. I'm like, fuck it, I'm not going to do it again. So what I'll do, I'll accept your challenge by answering your first question in a British accent. I apologize in advance. All right, I need a minute. All right, it's now or never. Here we go. On today's program, It's Elliot would like to know, what is your most and least favorite vine? So that's a very challenging question to answer, because there are, of course, many quotable and relatable and iconic vines, really. I think of things like the Roadwork head vine, the Miss Keisha vines, the Chris, is that a weed vine, the No Head vine, the I Won't Hesitate bitch vine. But if I had to pick one, it would probably be, it's not a very popular one, but it is within probably my top favorite videos on the internet, probably within the top 20. It's just this one of this little dog, and it's running through a shoe shop with this delightful music playing in the background. I have no idea the context, but it's absolutely wonderful, and it always makes me happy. As for least favorite Vine, see, I'm not opposed to the cringe Vines, as some may call them. I take issue with prank channels on YouTube where the people being pranked are not in on it and are just members of the general public. I find if you can't laugh about it afterward, then it's not funny. And there's a series of Vines by these two little shits, and they just follow around overweight people with a tuba, and it's absolutely disgusting and body shaming, and frankly, I won't stand for it. That's gonna be painful to listen to in editing. Anywho, socially awkward self, relatable, asks, a little question for you, little mint leaf. Do you plan to make more videos? Great, now I'm sticking to the British accent, hang on. Do you plan to make more videos where the listener is a tsundere or a shy? Tsundere or shy mint would be cute too. So the tsundere video, personally, I don't think I'll do that one again where the listener's the tsundere. I have a hard time saying that word because I feel like a lot of people were kind of upset by it because they didn't like being the mean one. It's really hard to impose an emotion or a sentiment or personality on the listener, if that makes sense. So while I will probably wind up making more tsundere mints and shy mint videos, because honestly those are really fun, shy listener, maybe if like the figure in the video is more of an intimidating force, like one that seems really daunting but it's actually really friendly, maybe I'll do something like that. I'll take note of that though for the future. Let's see, a random side question. Do you listen to any other ASMRs aside from roleplay audio ones? If so, which ones? I hope all is well for you. Same for you, of course. Other ASMRs, well, I'm assuming when you say roleplay audio ones, that also includes like visual ones like Ephemeral Rift or Heather Feather or Angelica. So aside from those ones, other ASMR would be things like unintentional ASMRs, where it's something like doctor videos or like people crafting things or things like that. There's also like cooking videos, like there's Peaceful Cuisine, which is an intended ASMR channel that's literally just cooking, or Mangchi, who is a Korean chef as well. Her videos, she's not an ASMR artist, but her stuff's very relaxing. Also, this is kind of funny, but something that unconditionally knocks me out every time. I love ghost hunting shows, but some are so boring that if I legitimately cannot sleep, the best surefire way to get me to fall asleep is to watch certain ghost hunting videos. Not videos, rather, but like TV shows. It's like, it's a weird thing for me. I don't know. You would think those give more nightmares than not, but no, normally my nightmares are like high school and things like that, so we don't worry about that. My buddy Prince Thomas Art wants to know, is ketchup a smoothie and how much money would I have to pay you to drink it raw? Okay, first of all, ketchup is not a smoothie because a smoothie is defined as a drink and ketchup is a sauce or condiment. Also, you DM'd me like a few days ago asking what I would do or what I wouldn't do that's morally okay for like $1 million. So I just have to ask, what are you planning? Empathy Rosebleeds wants to know, do you have anything that you are mostly uncomfortable with / never bring up in ASMR videos, or are you completely okay with everything? Are you also going to attempt to do self-harm, insomnia type ASMR? With that first part, I would say no, not really. I'm pretty okay with everything as long as it's approached tactfully. With regards to like topics like that I've kind of struggled with or had like trauma experiencing or whatever, personally I would only want to talk about those if it's like, I'm trying to think of a way to word it, but like a fruitful way, because I don't really want to throw like a pity party or have people be like, oh, I'm so sorry for you. Like, I would want to talk about it in a way that like kind of gets things done or talks about things in an informative way, rather than just kind of having a video that's me self-loathing. And I'm not saying that people talking about their trauma is self-loathing, of course, but just in terms of what sort of content I will be putting up on my channel. And then, are you also going to attempt to do? Frankly, I will do almost anything as long as it's requested or suggested. There were a couple other comments that was asking, like, oh, will you do this kind of ASMR or this kind of ASMR? What I do is I keep a bit of a notepad, like basically a running tally of everyone's ideas, including ideas that I come up with myself. And whenever my sort of inner muse is like, okay, let's do this video, like, we got a story here, then I will jump ahead and do it. So frankly, if you want to see anything, just go ahead and suggest it. I have already noted these ones, of course, so those will be coming once I think of a good way to address them. Christopher has a couple of questions, starting with, what are things you can think of to improve for your channel? Honestly, I think the biggest things right now are kind of lighting a fire under me and getting a more consistent upload schedule, really kind of putting my nose to the grindstone, especially if I do want to kind of transition into starting to do this a little more professionally. Also, looking at kind of removing some of the placeholders that are still up on the channel in terms of like icons and banners and stuff, and getting something professionally done. The next question is, what is your advice for those wanting to get into roleplay ASMR? Okay, so I can think of 3 pieces of advice. I remember I was asked this question on Kai Says Things live stream by Forbidden Lore ASMR, and I gave a terrible answer, and I felt so guilty about that. So here is 3 things I personally suggest. Maybe I'll even make a full video about it in the future. Number 1, if you see people kind of looking for stuff or saying they wish there was more of something, make that content if it's something that you're okay with and wanted to do anyway, because it's kind of like a supply and demand thing, and it can help you kind of get your foot in the door. Secondly, whenever you're expressing an emotion, don't hold back. It can be really tempting, because we don't want to be screaming in the microphone for obvious reasons, to not give it your all. But if you don't give it your all, it's going to come across as half-assed. And you can always, of course, adjust audio in like volume levels in Audacity or any editing software. And the final piece of advice in terms of writing scripts is make sure they sound natural, because some of my biggest pet peeves that take me right out of ASMR is when lines are delivered in such a way that no one would ever say it in real life. To give an example, I remember watching one video that was like, the way they kind of express this bad boy mentality is like the beat it nerd or whatever. It's like, no one talks like that. Or no, my biggest pet peeve, my absolute biggest pet peeve, the shy, awkward anime boy. Do you like it, senpai? Like, nobody fucking talks like that. Stop it. I'm sorry, I'm trying to not yell, but like, oh my god, that is like, okay. What you're going to want to do is pay attention to how you talk normally, and if it's not like in your personality to talk a certain way, like if that's just not who you are, observe other people and how they address or how they would carry themselves and speak. That's the best way to get authentic dialogue for your role plays. And then the last question is Canada even real, lol? Yes, it is real, but it's not a country. It's actually just a 1x1 Minecraft snow block in the middle of the ocean above America with a couple of mods and plugins on it. Oh man, diplomat right here. The final set of questions come from my friend Rama, who asked a fair amount of questions over on Twitter, but I just picked some of them. The first of which is, any chance for some of your old ASMR to become series? Yes, a lot of them have been kind of shoved to the back burner, but I am currently working on a sequel for the Butler series, and that'll be the first one to come to completion. His next question is, are you furry or not? I swear to God, go fuck yourself. I am not a furry. I'm just gonna... Next question. Favorite gay ship? Me with either Leon or Raihan from Pokemon, or alternatively, if you can find me a 20-something Kirishima or Kaminari, I'm good with that as well. The final question is there anyone who you would want to collab with? Yes, for sure. I'm always down for a collab, though I think I would feel most comfortable collabing with people who I have a positive, friendly connection with and whose energy I just kind of vibe well with. So I would say Kai Says Things, Salem Audio, and Parker May Audio for sure. If I'm allowed to kind of pick anyone who I would theoretically want to befriend and possibly collab with, then I would also add to that list probably, I don't know, Angelica, Latte ASMR, Leaves Audio, Defrosted, Mystic Blaze ASMR, Hollow VA, Golden Shrike. There's probably others, but honestly, I think that's a good enough list. And that concludes today's video. I do want to say a huge thank you not only for watching, but to everyone who sent in their questions. I do apologize that I didn't answer everyone's. I tried to squeeze in as many as I could, but frankly, there were so many the first time I tried to record this. I had over an hour of audio, and that was just a lot. So I will definitely try to do more things like this in the future. Of course, I will be reopening my Discord server on June 11th, so we'll of course be able to dialogue there, and I may also possibly do live streaming in the future. So there will definitely be opportunities for things like this again, but let me know if you enjoyed it and if you do want to see more. Other than that, I do want to say thank you again for sticking around. I hope this was relaxing. I know it did get a bit loud at times, but with that said, please have a great rest of your day, evening, whatever time it is for you. Keep yourself safe and love you all. Bye now.